and they recognized them as having been with Jesus. These words thrill me every time I read them. What must the rulers of the Jews have thought, believing they'd got rid of Jesus, when they looked at Peter and John, now filled with the Holy Spirit? We thought we subtracted him from the story. Now he's only gone and multiplied. Which is exactly what Jesus himself had said would happen when he likened his life to a grain of wheat that would produce a harvest of the same after it was buried in the earth. This was to be enabled by something else Jesus said would happen. After his return to heaven, God would send the Holy Spirit, enabling them to do the same and even greater works than he had done. The same God who had come in person in Jesus would now send the Holy Spirit to set up his personal home in his earthly community of believers. The Bible describes the church as the dwelling of God in the Spirit. So wherever the church is, God is there in person. The third person of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit. And wherever God's people go, they are carriers of his very presence. A number of years ago, at a large worship gathering in South Wales, I got transfixed by the sight of a very old man on the other side of the venue. He had one hand leaning on a walking stick and the other raised up in worship as a young electric band was playing in the platform, and his face was radiating the joy of Jesus. As soon as the celebration was over, I made a beeline for that man and I simply asked him, "Would you pray for me?" He took my hand in his and with his other hand gently stroked my forearm. As I looked into his shining face, I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I felt I was in the presence of God. I was in the presence of God. The man's name was Paddy Selby, and he prayed for me that day and every day for the remaining years of his life, as did his dear wife Kitty. I discovered later that he was a renowned missionary who had spent his life delivering God in person to West Africa. Ask God to fill you with his Holy Spirit today and bring him in person to each life you meet.